So my youngest daughter, Sophie, she's an artist.
Okay.
And for Christmas 2017, she gave me a baseball, and just written on the baseball it said, "Dad, want to play catch?" And so I interpreted it as like one of these gift certificates that your kid gives you, that she is willing. She's saying, "Dad, I'll play catch. You use this, and I'll be willing to play catch with you and catch with her."
So, nice.
I got to play catch with Bob Kendrick at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and we're just there on the field at the end of the tour, and that was just to play catch with him and hear him telling stories about Buck and Satchel, and just all the Monarchs players that I like, and here's a man who's just that next level closer, and his stories were incredible.
With that in mind, what is the best baseball movie of all time?
Okay, playing catch with Dad is what I think about how I grew up.
Really?
And what I remember most about that is every single time I asked my dad to play catch, he said yes. He never said no. And I think that's what set an example for me as a dad. That really just cements it all. Is I got to go to the Field of Dreams for the first time.
Okay.
And Dad and I played catch there.
That's awesome.
And that's the one that I always like, oh yeah, that was one of those days you just don't forget.
Yeah. Welcome into the Beyond the Glove podcast presented by JustGloves. I'm your host, Ben Loafman. From my research, I believe that we're the only baseball podcast with a lens specially directed towards baseball gloves and the people whose lives have been affected by them. And so here is my questioner for all listeners. In all of baseball, in 2018, whose arm do you think got the most use? Jacob deGrom or Blake Snell would probably be a good guess, as they were the NL and AL Cy Young winners, or maybe even Max Scherzer, who pitched over 220 innings that year. Well, I think you might be wrong with either of those answers, because I'm going to go with Ethan Bryan, our guest today on the podcast. In 2018, Ethan played catch every single day of the year, starting on January 1st with his daughter, in what appeared to be a 1-degree wind chill that day. Thank you for joining us, Ethan.
Oh, what a joy. It's so much fun to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to know, what inspired you to begin the journey of playing catch every day in 2018?
It's really kind of serendipitous and quixotic. So my youngest daughter, Sophie, she's an artist.
Okay.
And for Christmas 2017, she gave me a baseball, and just written on the baseball it said, "Dad, want to play catch?" And so I interpreted it as like one of these gift certificates that your kid gives you, that she is willing. She's saying, "Dad, I'll play catch. You use this, and I'll be willing to play catch with you." And so a couple days later, January 1st, I was working on a book, and I was really frustrated because I could not. I was actually really getting depressed because the words just weren't happening, and I was just felt really stuck at the desk, and I had put her ball on my writing desk just right at eye level, and I just remember calling out to her. I said, "Hey, Sophie, you want to go play catch?" And she's like, "Outside?" I was like, "Well, yeah, you play catch outside." Just at a baseball field, and it took me a couple minutes to try and think of one that we could use. And then I said, "Yes, outside. Yes, at a baseball field." And then she got quiet, and I didn't hear anything. I was like, "Oh, well, I figured that's the end of it." And like several minutes passed until she said, "Okay, yeah." And so we put on, it was 1 degree. We put on all these layers of clothes, but it was sunny. There's no snow on the ground. We drive to about 10 minutes to a park and did some really quick stretches, threw the ball about 30 times. And by this time, my fingers were just absolutely freezing. I got tears down my face. We run back to the minivan. Oh, we used her. She had a smartphone at the. She had a smartphone at the time. I still had a flip phone. Took selfie on her phone. Run back to the van. Warm up. Go home. And when I get home, my oldest daughter says, "Well, Dad, I'll play catch with you." So we go out in the backyard, and glasses are fogging over. We play catch. Dogs running around back and forth, trying to go crazy, steal a ball. And that was it. I took selfies with both of them. New Year's Day. It's a great way to kick off a new year.
Yeah.
And we're having family dinner that night around the dinner table, just kind of talking about the things you talk about on New Year's Day. And they said, "Dad, what would happen if you played catch every day for a year?" And I remember my reaction was just instant. I was laughing. I was like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what would happen. I would need surgery. This is what would happen." And they were the ones that really inspired that. You should just see what would happen. We just give it a chance. And so all of this is a thank you to them.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you got him going. So you played catch on January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
January 2nd comes. Were you ready? Were you like, all right, like I'm
Nope.
ready to go? Nope.
Not at all. We were on our way to see a movie.
Okay.
Oh, I can almost remember what movie. And we drove by the same ball field that Sophie and I had been to the previous day. And they're like, well, Dad, did you play catch with anyone today? And I was like, no, I didn't. They're like, well, you don't want to stop something on a second. So on the way to the movie, they made me stop, and we ran over to the ball field, play catch a second, and then we went to the movies.
Nice.
And then on the third day, actually, a friend was in town from Kansas City. He said, hey, I saw you play. Hey, I'm in town. I'll meet you for a game of catch today. And it really just kind of built up this grassroots momentum more than anything.
Nice. So day 3, that was when it was. Were you like, okay, this is launched. We're going. Going. No, not yet. Nice. Okay.
It was day 5.
Okay.
I was being interviewed for New Year's resolution on TV.
Okay. Nice.
And a guy said, so are you? And that's when it was during that interview. I was like, maybe I should really do this. Maybe this really is my resolution. And that was when I jumped in with both feet and said,
really,
I'm going to see what happens.
Nice. No, that's awesome. So when you went about 2018, you're setting it up. Like it sounds about January 5th. You're like, okay, I'm doing this all year. Are there any specific rules that you had to follow? For example, was there like no repeats? No repeats on partners, or what was the?
The best news was I didn't think about it.
Okay,
it was literally just flying by the seat of my pants.
Okay,
and so my quote rules were baseball and baseball glove.
Okay,
this is because that's my passion.
There you go.
But because of me, I wanted to play catch with my daughters as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So I didn't care about repeats or anything like that. And so people ask me, all right, what qualifies as a game of catch?
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, 25, 30 throws.
Okay.
And I can think of one person who actually counted throws and said, okay, hey, we hit 30. I was like, hey, that's great. But most of the time what happened is it's somewhere, like in that 10 to 15 throw range. Uh-huh. You start sharing stories and connecting about something, and the catch just becomes a mechanism for telling stories. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there were so many times that would be 30, 40, 45 minutes, and like, have we thrown it 30 times yet? It's like, we have surpassed 30 throws. We can stop whenever you want.
That's funny. I love that you do qualify glove and baseball. And you're not, we'll use a Beanie Baby today or something like that.
I mean, when I think of playing, I know football, frisbee.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much, I mean, I guess
maybe
rugby.
Yeah, there you go. Lacrosse. You could, with the sticks. I actually
played catch with the lacrosse team. That was pretty cool.
There you go.
Nice. That ball's a hard ball. But when I think of playing catch, it's always gloves and a baseball.
There you go. So when you start something grassroots, like your journey in 2018, it is pretty cool when you stick to it like you did, that folks really want to join in.
Yeah.
And you actually got to meet, from what I researched, I did read the book, and from what I researched and remember, you met some really cool people going along the way. Bill Verdon, which played for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He also coached in Major League Baseball as well. And he has almost a 20 WAR on Baseball Reference, which is nothing to laugh. That's pretty incredible. That puts him
Gold Glove winner.
Gold Glove, nice.
World Series winner.
Nice. Was he 61 with the Pirates? Was he with them?
Yes.
Okay.
Mazeroski's home run.
Mazeroski, yes. Yeah. Okay, nice.
So 60. He was center field to Clemente in right field.
Nice. Wow.
And I was like, wow. And then later he got to manage Clemente. So
that's a life of stories if you're playing. Yeah, that's awesome. And then also Jeff Passan from ESPN.
Last day of the year. He was it. He was the last catch.
He was the last one?
Oh, no, next last catch.
Nice. And that's awesome because, I mean, when you're looking at, if there's baseball news happening, it's him. John Morosi, I think, is another one that you're hearing a lot. So that's pretty sweet.
He's my go-to.
He's your go-to. Yeah, there you go. Nice. So those are some big name ones, some higher profile guys that you got to run into on the way. But was there an interaction on the journey that had the most? What interaction on the journey had the most impact upon you when you look back?
So I've got my laptop, and on my laptop I have pictures of all of my catch partners from the year.
Okay.
And it's fun just to go back through the folder and you start seeing these faces like, oh yeah, I remember we did that, and just all these memories pop up. So I tried to limit it to like 100 that I'd write down, but some of the names that you just go, Mary Moore.
Okay.
She played in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League.
Nice.
And she and I got to play catch at the field where the Rockford Peaches play.
Okay, nice.
And she was amazing. Second baseman, she turned an unassisted triple play.
Nice. Awesome.
Was home run hitter, power hitter, and she still has an arm. And just a fantastic storyteller. So I thoroughly enjoyed playing catch with her.
Nice.
I got to play catch with Bob Kendrick at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and we're just there on the field at the end of the tour. And that was just to play catch with him and hear him telling stories about Buck and Satchel and just all the Monarchs players that I like. And here's a man who's just that next level closer, and his stories were incredible. Of course, Bill Verdon, Jim Morris. He and I got to play catch right outside the K. The Royals were out of town that day, so that was pretty fun.
Nice.
Little Bear was the youngest player on the Eagles, on the Shoe Gang Eagles, for the National Pro Fast Pitch Tour. She was 17, about 2 or 3 inches taller than me.
Okay.
Probably threw the ball about 20 miles an hour harder than I did.
Okay.
She was incredible. We didn't speak a word of English.
Okay.
And so our whole game of catch was communicating with glove flips and laughter. And it was delight.
Really?
Simone Weirin is one of the top female pitchers in baseball history.
Okay.
And she's incredible. She's won awards all over the world.
Okay.
So playing catch with her, and then the one that really just cements it all is I got to go to the Field of Dreams for the first time.
Okay.
And Dad and I played catch there.
That's awesome.
And that's the one that I always like, oh yeah, that was one of those days you just don't forget.
Yeah. That's like, the final scene in Field of Dreams where he's like, Dad, want to have a catch? And so you guys got to do it. That's incredible.
Yes, we did.
So that's awesome. And I think as well, when you were on that 2018, you mentioned going to Field of Dreams. Did you go on 1 or 2 or more road trips to like go for playing
2
catch?
long road trips.
Okay.
10
nice.
days.
Nice.
Each. Yeah, it was. And those are incredible. I mean, these are just people who had emailed me and said, hey, if you're ever here, and I was like, well, when am I ever going to be there? And you could like map them out. I was like, well, hey, we could do a little tour here. And so we did a Midwestern tour, and then we did a tour down to Florida. And it was, and we got to go to Rickwood where MLB is going to go this year.
Nice.
And it was incredible. All these people who I mean, I'm playing catch with strangers.
Yeah.
And you kind of have that apprehension when you go up to them and you're like, are they gonna, I mean,
are we going to connect?
Yeah. My skills are minimal. I mean, I know I was a JV bench warmer. Okay. That was where I peaked. I know where I am.
You know yourself.
Yes, I do. And we had so much fun.
Nice.
And the playing catch was literally just the glue that made it happen.
Nice. That's awesome. So the journey, we kind of talked about it ended December 31st, 2018 with an absolute marathon of playing catch in Kansas City. So mind you, Ethan lives in Springfield, Missouri, which is about 3 hours south of Kansas City. So during that long day, I believe you played catch. It was super rainy. You played at a local news studio, the Kansas City Royals Urban Youth Academy.
Yep.
And then that was the day that you met up with Jeff Passan as well.
Yep.
So fast forward to 2020, and your catch, it ended up kind of coming along. It was Catch 365, like hashtag Catch 365 on X. So eventually it becomes a book, A Year of Playing Catch, which is a fantastic book. I've gotten the chance to read it. Super easy read. Like you just blow through it before. Like I was done. I'm a slow reader, and I was done in like 4 days. You go right through it. I really highly recommend it. How is the book set up? Is it like a journal of the days, or how did you write it?
So what's funny is I wrote probably about 2/3 of the book.
Okay.
And it was literally just a journal. It was kind of, and I sent it to a couple of my friends to read. One guy said he fell asleep in chapter 2, and the other comment was very far from your best work.
Oh man!
And I was like, wow,
Brutal.
This is painful. and I mean, I really. You just take it. There's no other way than take it personally.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, I really thought I had something here. And so I was stuck. I was like, how do I write this book? And I turned to my dad for advice, and he said, you want the book to feel like how you experienced it. So there was this daily grind of, well, who am I playing catch with tomorrow? And that constant of how am I going to find catch partner and lining up. So there's that daily work behind it. But then when it actually happens, there's the joy that's the result of the work. And so I loosely set it up on following us on one of the 10-day trips. And it's just the one through the Midwest where I get to see my cousin throw out a first pitch at the Omaha game, and we go to Rockford and we go to Chicago and just all these places. So it's loosely set up on that, but then so many times you play catch with someone and it reminds you of playing catch. And so it ties in the people that I met, their stories and lessons I learned along the way, loosely following a road trip, with the exception of going to the Field of Dreams with Dad, and then the last day, and then a tribute to someone to one of my high school teachers. In the middle of the year, he passed away, and his wife reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you come say something at the service?" I was like, "Oh." And so how do you connect playing catch into honoring someone's life? And that's one of my favorite chapters.
Nice. That's awesome. It's I will say that from what it sounds like your original copy was, you did a fantastic job. You must have really dismantled and put it all back together, because
I actually deleted it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep, it is gone.
Really? Nice. You're never going to look at it again.
I have it is lost, and I have no idea what happened to it. So it's completely rewritten into
That's incredible.
as it currently is.
No, it was great. I loved it a lot. And this is not the first book you've written, correct?
Correct. I've got about 12 now.
Okay. Nice. One of your books, so I was looking on your site, ethanbryan.com, correct? Yep. So there is a book that you have on there. It's called Striking Out ALS, A Hero's Tale. And the story, you have like a preview of the book, the preview is fantastic, because you were encouraged in this project by a funny interaction that you had with W.P. Kinsella.
Yes.
W.P. Kinsella, he is the writer of the book Shoeless Joe, which was the basis for the movie Field of Dreams. Talk about that interaction that you had with him.
So I had this idea, and it was really just kind of, this sounds so crazy. You even say it out loud.
Sorry if I've put you in a place.
Oh, this is hilarious. Sure. But you know how when you get an idea sometimes and it just won't let you go, and sometimes it's, you dream about it, and it was an idea that I could not I was like, I want to get back in baseball shape. I want to see. And at that point, all I could think about was, I want to find a way to go to Royals fantasy camp. That was at the top of my list. As I want to go there. I was like, by that point, I hadn't played ball for 20 years.
Okay.
My skills were zero. And the Drury baseball team practiced really close to us.
Okay.
And reached out to the coach. He said, you can come hang out with the team anytime. So I did. And got to visit with the pitching coach. I shag flies. I got to take some swings and stuff like that. I was awful. And so I sent an email out into the unknown, hoping to reach W.P. Kinsella. I was like, let me tell you about this idea that I had, and I just want to get your feedback and wisdom. You're a writer. You love baseball. What do you have to say? And, I used to have it memorized, but it's something like, I don't trust anyone who hears voices and weird characters. and you read through it, and the bottom line is, he called me this weird character that he wasn't sure he'd want to know in real life. I was like, this is a compliment coming from yes. He compared me to one of the characters that he writes. I was like, I love it. I love it so much. And it turned out we stayed in touch over years, emailed a dozen times or so. And at one point we talked about trying to meet for playing catch. And he got really ill, and we weren't able ever to connect in person, but still have that to be compared as a weird character to one of his characters. Like, man, I'll take that. Thank you so much.
I love that. And it is really cool, as I've read A Year of Playing Catch and just reading about Striking Out ALS, and you also have a book, Dreamfield, and you share you share so much of your personal story and all. Like, you really let yourself out there, which I think is super cool. So
I'm a weird character.
Nice. So We are Just Gloves, and as we've mentioned earlier, it sounds like, according to Ethan, the official rules of playing catch is you got to have something on your non-throwing hand to catch the baseball with. Yep. So our natural question is, during 2018, what did you use for a glove when you were playing catch?
Well, I had 5, and I realized it halfway here this morning that I left one at home, and I'm really sorry because it was my first glove.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can still wear it. My hands are small if I can still wear it.
It's
a Mike Flanagan signature Wilson.
Okay, nice.
And it's about this big.
Mike Flanagan, Baltimore Orioles, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I would use that on occasion, or little kids that was playing catch would use that. But it started with this glove, which is...
And I'll cut in here. If you're watching on YouTube, he's got the glove here with us right here.
It is. I bought it. Actually, Dad bought it for me in 1990, my sophomore year of high school. We bought it at Bass Pro in Springfield, and they had this massive wall of gloves. And he took me he said, take your time, choose one. And he went off to the golf section. And I mean, I was literally there for an hour just trying on gloves.
Yeah.
And settled into this one. It's a George Brett signature model. I have lost count how many times it has since been relaced. And I mean, chewing on the ends, just out of nerves and everything. And I have used this so much. Well, early into the year, the laces broke on it.
Okay.
And just for fun, I reached out on Wilson on Twitter and just said, hey, man, laces broke. I'm trying to play catch for a year. And you don't ever expect to hear. And they responded. Nice. They said, well, you can send it to us and we can relace it for you. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And they said, or we can just send you a glove. I was like, well, since you said, and they sent me a 12 3/4 blonde H-Web.
There you go. That's a beautiful glove.
It was
just from the description.
Gorgeous glove. And it had a code on it. And it was a sample glove that they would take to spring training for the players to try on. And I think it came from Florida. I remember that.
Yeah.
And this is my first new glove I have touched in like 25 years now.
Okay.
Right? And send it to me in the mail. They sent some swag with it. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
And I get it out, and I'm expecting this one's as floppy as a piece of paper. And I put my hand in it to squeeze, like, oh my gosh, what in the world? I cannot close this glove. And so I got the re-education into the glove world, and a local coach who's kind of a glove guru down in Springfield, he kept it for about a week, broke it in for me.
Yeah.
And so that was the one I used predominantly through the year. Every now and then I'd use this one, which is Dad's glove. It's a 1970 Wilson Matty Alou, and I'd use it on occasion if someone needed to borrow a glove. And this is one Dad just used beginning of this year, on January 1st this year, to kick off this year playing catch. And so this one, he said, saved his face a couple times during church league slow pitch softball. But then when I found out I was going to the Field of Dreams, I have a friend in Boston who works with gloves, who does antique gloves, and I said, if you got any, I'd like to take a vintage glove to Field of Dreams. Yeah. And this is a 1950s Wilson that he sent to me, and I have used it so many times.
Nice.
And there's no padding to it. And every now and then someone will just cut loose with the throw, and I'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
And that's it for that glove, because I can't feel my hand anymore.
This glove's awesome here. This one, the way it was built, it doesn't even have any string between the index and all the fingers.
The pinky doesn't move. I mean, if you put your finger in the pinky, you'll like dislocate your pinky trying to get it to. So I'm guessing they just had, instead of 2 in the pinky, you had 2 in the ring finger.
There you go. Yeah, it's kind of crazy here too. If you can kind of see on the YouTube broadcast, there's just like a perfect little dimple for the ball.
Yeah, right on your palm.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And I know there's webbing. I will use with quotes.
Yeah.
If you try and catch it there, it feels like you're missing it.
Oh, really? Like you can't even feel it when you're in there. Yeah. Oh man, this is a sweet. I know that glove technology in the 50s wasn't. But it is pretty cool, man. This is awesome.
I love that one.
And this glove's in incredible shape, too.
Yeah.
I've seen some that, like, the insides all eat out and stuff like that.
It is gorgeous. So. And, I've used it in this 5 years since. I still use it regularly. And what's great is, to get young kids to put them on and let them, it's like, wow, is this what they really... I was like, yeah. Can you imagine catching a 100-mile hit line drive? It's like, no, I'm not touching anything with that.
That's insane. That's so cool. I love your story about getting the glove. First off, because I think you would be hard pressed to buy baseball gloves at Bass Pro Shop any longer.
No, they don't have any
yeah,
anymore.
I don't think they have any gloves there anymore. But buying a glove and with, it is super cool, like playing catch, and such a familial bond can be grown out of doing those things with a parent.
Yeah.
Did you and your dad, did you guys bond quite a bit over playing catch when you were a kid?
I think that is my favorite metaphor to describe how I grew. I mean, that's how I tell people I grew. I grew up playing catch with Dad.
Really?
I remember it is no longer a baseball field, but I can take you literally to the 10-foot circle I was standing when he taught me how to catch pop-ups.
Really?
Yeah. And what's funny, I only live a couple miles from it now.
Okay.
But so I remember that day. I remember going home from that day and my mom saying, "Ethan, get over here. You need to stay." And she positioned me in front of the air conditioner window unit just to try and cool off my head. And I was just sweating so much. So I remember playing catch with Dad there. I remember in our backyard all the time. I remember when we moved, when I was in high school, when I was in 8th grade, we'd play catch in the street. And we'd always keep our eyes, peeled for cars coming and dodging cars. And, invariably, one of us would make a bad throw, and you'd get the asphalt scuff marks on the ball.
Oh, man.
And then
you're huffing it down the street to go get the ball.
You eventually go get the ball. But that was when I really started, being able to put some mustard on it as a pitcher. And, I got pretty close to throwing 70 miles an hour, not to brag.
Hey.
But if you got a ball that was scuffed, it was like, well, this will move a little bit more
now.
Go,
yeah.
And I remember we were on family vacation. We were visiting Dad's mom in Ohio.
Okay.
And he was using this glove. I'm using this glove. And he's like, I need a catcher's mitt. You are throwing hard enough. And I remember we went and bought a catcher's mitt while we were on family vacation. So all that to say, playing catch with Dad is what I think about how I grew up.
Really?
And what I remember most about that is every single time I asked my dad to play catch, he said yes. He never said no. And I think that's what set an example for me as a dad.
Yeah.
You want to be engaged. You want to be, Dad didn't have any dreams of playing baseball when he grew up. I mean, that was my dream. And he used that to connect with me and to spend time with me and encourage me and have fun. And he learned and he grew as a baseball fan, as a player. But that was a really big lesson for how I relate to my daughters. The important thing is to be engaged, is to be present, and to, you may be tired, but you say yes.
Yeah. Because
you're going to regret when you didn't.
I love that you bring that up, because I have in my own notes here that when I was researching this interview, I saw that you mentioned that your dad never said no to a game of catch. Yeah. I have 2 young sons, and I thought, dang, I say no to a lot of the stuff. So thank you for being on here, because that has actually really personally challenged me over the last 4 days to be like, my boys on New Year's Day were like, "Dad, we want to play football outside." I was like, "Yeah, we're going to go play football."
It was cold.
So, yeah, no, it was. So, no, I appreciate that. And staying on fathers and your dad, we do have to mention that your dad was ahead of his time as well when it came to baseball gloves and glove personalization. So here at Just Gloves, we have only recently in the last month been able to start to engrave select gloves on our website. What year do you think your dad got this glove?
1970.
So we're going to put it on the YouTube recording for everyone. But in 1970, Ethan's dad got a wood-burning pencil and put his name on the thumb of the glove with impeccable handwriting.
Oh, it
too.
is. Isn't it great?
I was looking at that, and you mentioned that he did it with a wood-burning pencil. I thought it was done by a machine or something like that. So I thought that was incredible that he was way ahead of his time doing that. So that's so cool.
He'll get a kick out of hearing
No,
that.
yeah, dude, he was way ahead. But yeah, so this year, 2024, it's going to be a special year because you've been running it back on playing catch this year, every single day of the year. You've been at it a little bit now. I took a look at your X account, and I love how bold you are with asking folks to join you in playing catch. You got to go big or go home, they always say. So for 2024, Who is on your wish list for playing catch? Me. We're gonna play catch after this episode, so he'll knock me out. But
I think really the top of the list for me at this age now is I really just want to connect with the Royals.
Really?
Yeah. That still hasn't. I had never made it to fantasy camp. I went to spring training once, and that was a fantastic experience. That was back in holy cow, spring of 2012.
Okay.
So before
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, as I've told you guys before, so we're a Kansas City company. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Ethan rocking his KC gear.
Oh.
So huge Royals fan. Correct?
Okay, so I'm going to pause that. I went to my first game when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And it was the game that George Brett hit for the cycle.
Oh, man.
Won on a Brett walk-off home run in the bottom of the 16th inning.
Nice.
And so that is my induction into the world of baseball.
Okay.
And Mom and Dad say it was like a light switch went off in your brain that it was baseball from that day forward. So a couple years later, I lose all my hair. I'm 6 years old. All my hair falls out.
Okay.
I'm completely bald, which is perfectly not natural for a 6-year-old. And I am. What worries me is how is this going to affect baseball? And I remember asking Dad, can I still play baseball if I don't have any hair? And when Dad said, yes, you can play baseball and be bald. And that was the light switch that, okay, everything's going to be okay as long as I can keep playing baseball. So
nice.
All that to answer your question, man, past, present Royals, Brett and Bo Jackson and Alex Gordon and Bobby Witt Jr. and Cole Reagan and Salvi. Oh my goodness, I mean, all of them.
Gotcha.
All of them.
Nice.
They would be the top of my bucket list of who I'd really like to play catch with this year.
Nice. That's awesome. That's I can see it. That'd be a huge gift for you to be able to reach out.
The only one I wish I could play catch with that I know I can't, Dan Quisenberry.
Oh man,
I loved him as a kid.
Yeah.
I had all his baseball cards.
Okay.
Years later, I got his book of poetry, which is fantastic. But just he was a delight. I remember one game we drove up from Springfield, and he was the player that was they would sign autographs at the top of the curly cues.
Yeah.
And he was there, and the line was miles long. There's no chance. And Dad just happened to walk by at the right time, and Quiz looked at him and smiled, and Dad just got a picture of Quiz looking at him and smiled. So that's so there you go. That's not related really to anything. But
hey, no,
I love
get it
Dan
out
Quisenberry.
there. No, dude, you answered perfectly. So yeah. So we end each interview with our 3 strikes game.
Okay.
So 3 questions, and you get 20 seconds to answer, just kind of like the pitch clock in baseball. And so earlier we discussed your interaction with W.P. Kinsella when you were, and he helped encourage you along in your project how he basically said that you were a character from a book.
There you go, I'll take it.
Field of Dreams. So with that in mind, what is the best baseball movie of all time?
Okay, so I'm a child of the 80s, and so they all just bunch in there. Sandlot, League of Their Own, Natural, The Rookie. Those are just all right there.
Okay.
But it's Field of Dreams. I mean, it is. If it is on TV, I will stop whatever it is I'm doing and just watch it to the end.
That's awesome.
And yeah.
I think I'm going to watch it tonight when I go home now that you've brought it up.
It is currently on Netflix, just so you know.
Nice. Thank you.
Or you can borrow the copy that's on my shelf.
Nice. I think I have it on DVD.
Okay, that's good. Not VHS.
But your favorite character in that movie?
It's 3.
Okay.
Moonlight Graham.
Love it.
Oh, gosh. She's, hey, rookie, you were good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Terrence Mann. Such a, and of course, Ray Kinsella.
Nice.
But all 3. I mean, there's a part of me that would love to hear someone say that I was a good ball player. Just that part of it. There's the writer that connects to Mann and his passion, and of course the brilliant speech that he gives. And then just the ending. Every time so I guess you can put Kevin Costner and Dwyer Brown on that bucket list of people I'd like to play catch with this year.
There you go. Yeah. So Dwyer Brown, he plays
the dad.
The dad. Yes, at the end. Okay. Nice. Very cool. And then the final question: what is the best scene in the movie Field of Dreams?
Well, the ending gets me every single time. I can't. But when when Archie steps across the foul line,
and
realize and then Terrence Mann's speech.
Yeah.
When they go to the Red Sox game. I mean, that's at the top of my list as well, because you can only have so many top. I'd like to play catch in front of the Green Monster.
Ooh,
wouldn't that be so cool?
That is an awesome.
I've never been. I've been to Wrigley.
Okay.
I got to see. I'll see Luis Escobar hit a first pitch home run at Wrigley. That was fantastic. Back in 2015. You were at that game.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so great.
Yep.
I've never been to Fenway.
Okay.
And so,
nice.
It's at the top, and seats down low on the first base side.
There you go. Yeah. What is he? I always love that scene because he's like, "What do you want?" And then he's like,
Leave me alone.
He's like,
"No,
beer and a dog."
What do you want?
Yeah. That's incredible. Well, Ethan, this has been awesome. Thank you for joining us today. If folks want to take part in the 2024 playing catch journey, how can they get a hold of you?
Easiest way is email.
Okay.
wannaplaycatch@gmail.com.
That's awesome. Nice. Perfect. And then also, you're pretty active. You're pretty active on X as well. And if you guys are interested in your books, your website too, you can get the books from your website.
EthanBryan.com. Yeah, that's fine.
That's fantastic. So, no, this has been great. Thank you, Ethan.
It has been a joy. Thank you so much.